In Manila, we had a wonderful ama for the children. She was a young, sweet girl, and she would take the children down to the back garden where we had a little playhouse. And Kathleen, I shall never forget her. She was always the mother hen. The older children, Don and Edie, were in school, so it was just Kathleen and Gordon and the two children next door, who were also between the ages of 1 and 3, and they would come over with their ama, and Kathleen would herd them all and shepherd them all and play the games with them and tell them what to do, and was quite good at it, I must say. Her bossy instincts just came up very early. Along with this wonderful ama that we had for the children, we had 4 other servants. We had a lavandera, we had a gardener, we had a houseboy, and we had a cook. So we had 5 servants in all. The lavandera...
How'd you get by with only 5?
The lavandera and the houseboy were married. Well, one day... Oh, and one of the houseboy's duties was to polish the wood floors. And he would polish the wood floors by using half a coconut, placing it coconut side down, balancing himself on the husk, and skate over the floors. And he would get those floors polished to a high sheen. Very clever. But one day, I was in the bedroom, at the desk actually, I wasn't sleeping, and the cook came and, "Wake up quickly, Mum, they're killing each other." And I raced through the house, through the kitchen, and down the stairway to the lower area where the servants' quarters were, and there were the gardener and the houseboy, literally with knives drawn. And I wasn't scared. I should have been. But I said in a very firm, authoritative voice, "Stop that now." And they did.
Wow.
Yeah. So it turns out that the lavandera who had, everybody knows that's a washwoman, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
The lavandera.
lavandera. Yes.
So she had a very moralistic streak, and she was really upset at the fact that the houseboy and the pretty ama had a thing going, because she knew that the houseboy had a wife in the country, and so that was her problem. But anyway, it broke up my very, very good servants, and I had to let the houseboy and the ama go. And before we could search for another really good pair, we learned that we were going to be sent to Hong Kong.
Okay.
And it was the end of 3 years, and we left by ship. And I remember clearly Edie sobbing because she was leaving behind all her friends in her school. And it was really, really hard on her. She was about 12 years old, 12 and a half. And I was very unsympathetic. To me, it was just another adventure, another move. I probably didn't comfort her as I should have. We were leaving sort of at 8 or 9 o'clock, and I think the rest of you, the younger 3 children, were asleep. And then we reached Hong Kong, where we were to stay for a very brief 13 months, but a very packed 13 months. We first lived in an apartment in Hong Kong in the Repulse Bay region on Victoria Island. Hong Kong was still a British Crown colony. We rented the apartment from a British couple who were on leave. We were in the penthouse suite on the 6th floor with skylights and a balcony which overlooked a bed of rocks. The schooling for the children was bizarre. Coming from an American system into a British system, the one whom it affected most was my oldest daughter, Edie, now 12. She was driven by Wong the chauffeur every morning at 7 a.m. and taken to the Star Ferry. She crossed to Kowloon, got on a bus, and traveled to the King George V school. This process was repeated in the evening, with the chauffeur picking her up from the Star Ferry to bring her home. Don, still in grammar school, went to the Peak School. He was dropped at the foot of the Peak tram, which he rode to the top. Now, the reason he wasn't dropped at the school was that the Peak Road was very windy, and Don would get car sick going around all the curves. So he rode the tram instead. When he reached the top, he walked a very short distance to the school, and in the afternoon took the tram back to the bottom, was picked up by Wong, and driven home. Kathleen, kindergarten age, went to Kennedy Road Junior School at mid-peak level. Do you remember anything about that?
Nope.
Although you saw the Peak School.
Yes, I remembered the Peak School, but I don't remember the Kennedy School, so...
Okay. Well, Harry had use of the car too, of course, and Wong drove him to and from the office every day. And when I could, I would get the car for shopping and visits to friends. While in the apartment, we had a typhoon, my first experience. It was Typhoon Wanda. We were snug in the apartment when the brunt of the storm hit, but in the middle of the night, I heard the door to the balcony banging back and forth. I reached for the door. A gust of wind caught me, and my nightgown flew up over my head. There was Don, always a light sleeper, watching it all. The skylights blew in. The next morning there was glass and water all over the floors, which the servants cleaned up. And I guess the skylights were fixed. All of those details really went by me because I didn't have to deal with any of it. Once while I was out, Gordon, 4 years old, went out onto the balcony and climbed through the bars and was standing outside. The Amma saw him. She was very calm. She went out and said very soothingly, "Gordy, want a cookie? This way," and guided him back through the bars. From then on, those balcony doors were kept locked. The owners of the apartment were returning, and we were looking for a new house. We were very lucky to find one at mid-peak level. It was owned by an Englishman who wanted to rent to a Caucasian. It was a palace. I think it was 6,000 square feet at least. It had 13 servants' rooms. It had 3 garages. It overlooked the peaceful South China Sea and had a huge outdoor patio. Do you remember that house?
Oh, yes, I do.
I got far too comfortable there and fantasized about one of my daughters coming down the circular staircase for her wedding. Not to be. We were soon to be transferred. Before being transferred, however, 2 enormous events. The first, the birth of my 5th child at Matilda Hospital. He subsequently liked to tell people that he was made in China. The second event was the drought. We went from a plentiful water supply, supplied by the typhoon, to a situation of almost zero water. The authorities instituted a draconian rationing system. Water was turned down once every 4 days for 4 hours. During that brief time, everyone rushed around to fill up oil drums and bathtubs and pitchers and anything that would hold water. We managed. The servants did the cooking and washing. I learned to take the quickest shower on record and to brush teeth with almost no water. The water was brought down the Pearl River by water tankers from Chongqing. And this all took place in the very brief 13 months. We were on our way again. I wish I had those other two papers to read.